If you're a woman who's accomplished, capable, and driven, but you still feel completely alone in your marriage and want to shift this video is for you. Because here's what nobody talks about. The stronger and more capable you are, the more likely you end up carrying the entire relationship on your own. Not because your partner doesn't care, but because of the pattern most high achieving women don't even know that they're in. I'm Chelsy, an intimacy coach, mom, and 13 years into a relationship that almost fell apart because of this exact pattern. I've helped hundreds of women recognize and shift it. In this video, I'll show you exactly why this happens, what's driving it underneath, and what actually needs to change. So let's start with what this actually looks like in day to day. Before he even knows there is a problem, you've already felt it. You bring up the hard conversations. You suggest the date night. You track whether you've actually connected this week at all. I call this the Vigilance Gap. In this space between what you're already feeling, the disconnection, the drift, and what he hasn't even noticed yet. You're 3 steps ahead, already tracking it, already trying to fix it, and he doesn't even know there's a problem. Think of it like a thermostat. You're the one with your hand constantly on the dial, monitoring, adjusting, trying to keep the warmth alive. And here's the paradox. The more you manage the temperature, the less he feels he needs to. Why would he check the dial when you're already handling it? So he decompresses, goes quiet, and then retreats. And the more you reach for him to close that gap, the more he pulls back to find some air. The more you try to close the vigilance gap, the wider it gets. And over time, something shifts. You become the one who notices. He becomes the one who's noticed. You become the one who reaches, and he becomes the one who's reached for. You become the one who defines the problem, and he becomes the one who feels like the problem. And here's the thing. You didn't start doing this to control him. You started this because you care, because you're capable, because you feel the drift before he can even name it. At first, this looked like love because, well, it was. But over time, it became the entire dynamic. And now you're the manager of the relationship. You're exhausted, you're resentful, and somehow, in a marriage where you're doing everything, you feel completely alone. Now, there are 3 things you want to understand about why this happens. But first, high-achieving women are used to solving problems. At work, if something needs to happen, you organize it. You plan it, you fix it. And it works beautifully there. But when you bring that same energy to your relationship, you become the emotional project manager of the marriage. And here's the trap. At work, when you do everything, you get rewarded, you get promoted, respected. But in your relationship, when you do everything, you don't feel admired. You feel alone. And resentment quietly starts to build. Not because you're doing anything wrong, because the rules are completely different here. Now here's the second thing. And this one most coaches skip entirely. The reason you're doing so much in the first place isn't about capability, it's about safety. Somewhere along the way, long before this relationship, your nervous system learned something. If you don't hold it together, things fall apart. Responsibility felt like survival. Being capable felt like safety. Letting go felt dangerous. So now in your marriage, when you feel disconnection, your nervous system doesn't say, give me space. It says, do something. Fix it now. Now that's not a personality flaw. That's not your body doing exactly what it learned to do to keep you safe. And here's what that means. You cannot fix your nervous system response with just a communication tip. You're not doing too much because you're controlling. You're doing too much because your body never learned it was safe to do less. That's the root of it. And once you see that, everything starts to make so much more sense. If you're recognizing this in yourself right now, I put together a free guide. Healing Emotional Intimacy will help you start uncovering the emotional blocks underneath this pattern. Grab it from the description below. Now, I want to share something personal because this is where it really clicked for me. A few years into my relationship, I was standing at the front door hallway, staring at my partner's shoes, angry, again. Every day when he came home, he'd take off his shoes at the front door and just go and decompress. And almost like clockwork, I would snap, put your shoes away, sharply, chastising to him every time, like I was his mom. That was often our first interaction of the day, and I genuinely didn't understand why there was tension between us later. One day I was standing there again, staring at those shoes, and something stopped me. Am I really mad about shoes? I mean, shoes, like, come on. And in that pause, something cracked, because in that moment, I didn't feel anger. I felt overwhelmed. I felt unsupported. I felt like I was doing everything alone. Really familiar feelings, actually. And that had nothing to do with his shoes. It had nothing to do with him. And I realized in reality, I wasn't fighting about the shoes. I was fighting about what my nervous system was making the shoes mean. You're probably doing the same thing. You're not fighting about the shoes either. I get it. You're fighting about what your nervous system makes them mean. Now here's the third thing I want you to understand. And this is what actually changes the dynamic. When you're managing everything, you unintentionally fill all the space in the relationship. He can't affect you. He can't move toward you. There's no room. And honestly, most men won't say that out loud. They won't say, I feel displaced. I don't know how to step in without feeling managed. They just go quiet. They scroll more. They retreat into work. And from your side, it looks like he's pulling away. But from his side, it often feels like there's no way to get this right. So I'd rather not engage. And then the loop starts. You feel him pulling away. You do more. He feels that pressure. He pulls back. You feel abandoned. You increase effort. He feels managed. He pulls back further. And neither of you understands the system that you're trapped in. And this is why it hurts so much, because you're not controlling in a villain kind of way. You're usually alone and scared and trying. And he's not cold in a villain way either. Like, he's often just as overwhelmed as you and without language for what he's feeling. So what actually changes this? Not a script, not a tactic, not strategically giving him space, pretending you're unbothered to try to make him chase you. The shift is internal, and it starts with one question. What am I actually afraid will happen if I stop managing this? Because underneath the underfunctioning, there's almost always a fear that if you stop holding it together, it will fall apart. That if you let go even for a little, you'll end up alone. And that fear makes sense. For a lot of women, it was learned in real circumstances, but you're not in that environment anymore. Your nervous system hasn't gotten the memo yet. The shift isn't doing less. It's teaching your body that it's safe to do less, safe to soften, safe to let him hold something, safe to receive. And here's what I found in my own relationship. As I started to soften, not a strategy, but because I did the actual internal work, he changed too. He became more present, more affectionate, more willing to engage. And not because I forced it, because I stopped meeting him with pressure. And when the pressure lifted, there was finally space for him to step in. Your strength, babe, is not the problem. Your strength running on fear is the problem. And when that same strength starts running from safety instead, that's when everything shifts. If this resonated with you and you're ready to actually shift this, I'm building a program specifically for women like you. Join the waitlist. The link is in the description below. Now, go watch this next video right here. I break down exactly how to give him space in a way that actually brings him closer. Because understanding this pattern is step 1. This will be step 2. And I'll see you there.